everybody. Welcome to a very special daily soul session this morning. In just a couple of minutes, I am going to bring on my friend Danielle Bernal. She's just figuring out her phone because when we do these live broadcasts, all the rules for how we usually do live videos change. So Danielle's going to be joining us in a minute. If you are already online with us this morning, please just drop in the comments and say hi. I'd love to know who's watching and where you're joining in from this morning. Good morning, Carolyn. I know my husband is about to see you. So great to see your face, honey. So this morning, Danielle and I are going to be discussing how, as mums and business owners, do we have it all, right? We can just be so busy trying to juggle all of these roles and all of these to-dos that we have. And Danielle is just an amazing mom and is growing a killer business down in Florida. And so I just knew that she was the perfect person to join us this morning for this discussion. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Danielle when she joins. Good morning, Jessica. Good morning, Emily from Charleston. Good morning, Audra, let me know if you got the book that I sent you a couple weeks ago. I hope that is happily in your hands. Ladies, and we've got no gents so far, just ladies. Gosh, I don't know what happened with my hair this morning. It went, you know when you put too much product in it and it just goes a little crispy and then the top goes flat and the bottom goes whoop? Well, that's my story this morning, guys and gals. And when you've got short hair, there ain't too much you can do about it because it ain't going back. So anyway, Audra says, yes, I got the book. Good morning, Nina. I'm so glad you're all with us this morning. Gosh, this training with Danielle is going to be absolutely fantastic. My intention is really to have a beautiful, open conversation and really talk about how, as mums, are we tooling up? How are we making it happen? And Danielle is a health and fitness expert, so she's going to be able to bring us a lot of tools and insights around energy specifically. So if Danielle, if you're on the line already, just drop a comment. That's going to be the easiest way for me to add you in this morning. Let's see. Audrey just shared the video already. Thank you so much. Yes, if anyone would like to share already, please go ahead and do that. And then put share in the comments so we can give you a lovely shout out because there's going to be some really great stuff here this morning. Let's see. Casey just joined. Good morning, Casey. I still don't see Danielle. Okay, we'll give it a couple more minutes. I know that she's probably trying to figure out her phone. So I don't know about you, but it's just been such an interesting ride since having a child. In fact, the thing that I was probably most worried about was, wow, this just doesn't feel like the best time. I wish my business was further ahead. And what's been crazy is that I have never been so productive in my work as I have since having had Austin, right? So that idea that what we fear the most never usually becomes a reality. So we usually just waste our time spinning our wheels in these worries that are completely unnecessary. And so I just think that in and of itself is such an interesting thing to think about, that the shit that we worry about just really doesn't matter. And yet I still have issues with my body keeping up with my mind, right? I have so many ideas. I want to be going full speed ahead. And sometimes there's a real disconnect for me. And that's one of the reasons that I'm excited to have Danielle on the line with us this morning. If you don't know Danielle Bernal, please go check her out on Facebook. Follow her, especially if you're in the network marketing space. Danielle has amazing insights about how to grow a really great business. Good morning, Casey. It's so great to have you here, honey. Okay, let's see. Danielle, are you with us, my dear? Guys, this is all such, it's such an experiment. Everything, right? Everybody thinks, oh, it's so easy, we have it together. No, we're all just figuring it out. Okay, Danielle's here. Awesome, Danielle. I am gonna click on you and hopefully just add you. You should pop up on my screen, and should be as easy as that. So let's see, guys. Invite Danielle to broadcast. Here we go.
Hi, Sarah.
Yay! Good morning, my darling. How are you this morning?
Good. Hi, everybody. It's so great to be on. How are you?
Great. I'm wonderful, thanks, hon. I was just trying to... Yeah, the connection is great. I think if I understand correctly, there's about a 2 or 3 second delay between you and me. So that's just something to consider as weird.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so welcome everyone. I know we've already got a whole bunch of lovely ladies with us this morning. This is my friend, an amazing woman, Danielle Bernal, in Florida. She is a partner in life, a killer business owner, a health and wellness expert. And as I've shared some, the reason I asked Danielle to join our conversation, and especially this morning, is because so many of us are stay-at-home moms. We are building home-based businesses, and we're trying to juggle so much. And one of the things I often share when I'm out speaking is I have so many ideas and so much I want to do, but sometimes my body just won't keep up with my mind. And I know that this is true for so many women. So I'm really excited for Danny to share with us this just open out to do it all, because I don't know about you ladies, but I want to do it all, right? Like, I want to show up big. I want to really, I guess, show up for all the ideas I have and not necessarily have to allow me to do the things I'm dying to do. So, Danny, that is my introduction for you. Welcome. And if there's anything you'd like to share with the ladies this morning, please do.
No, thank you. That was a great introduction. Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, I think you're spot on with, being a mom. There's just, society puts a lot of pressure on us. You have to rise to the occasion and, be the best mom, and the norm is, give up everything, right? You raise your children, you give up everything. And so there's a big misconception that, you have to lose your body, that you can't have a nice body and be a mom, right? Most people think after kids, that's when you don't have a nice body, or after kids, that's when you have to choose between a career or being a present parent or being there for your kids. And so I just believe that, health and wellness, or all of it, is just a mindset. When you start really taking care of yourself and understanding that that's just like a huge misconception. That's a huge lie or rumor that someone started a long time ago, that you have to choose between all the things that make you happy and motherhood. And when you start living into you can have it all, you start to be a happier parent. And so one of the things I really like is that I like to promote through my message is really living in that you can have it all, right? You can have that body. You can still go after your dreams. You can still be the sexy, hot mom that, is in love with your husband. You don't have to give everything up. And so I think that's what causes so many moms to get depressed, or so many moms to get down, is that they're in this game of making sure they give, and then they never give to themselves. And so, it's hard because there's just so much to do, right? When you're raising kids, you have a lot going on, right? It doesn't matter if you're a working parent, if you're a stay-at-home parent, you have a lot going on. And it's easy to say, putting myself first is just not an option. Or it's easy to say, you know, taking care of me right now is just not something that I can do. And we can kind of buy into that. We can buy into that, you know, taking care of me right now is not something I can do, or that it's selfish. And so I feel if you just carve out time every single day to put yourself, give to yourself, whether that's working out, whether that's reading a book. Like if you're a mom on here, put a 1. If you would just love an hour to yourself, like at the pool with a book. And I think sometimes we think we're not deserving of that, or we can't give ourselves that. And I think when you really start living your best life as a mother, as a partner, as a daughter, just living your best life is when you are 100% committed to putting yourself first.
I love all of that, Danny. I want to go right back to the beginning. This idea that as mothers, we have to lose our body, or we lose our body as a result of becoming pregnant, or just becoming a mom who doesn't have enough time for ourselves. Was that something that was scary to you when you found out you were pregnant?
No, you know what? When I was pregnant, I actually thought it was going to be so easy. I was like, I can't wait to be a mom, and it's going to be so easy. And I'm just going to carry my baby everywhere with me and build my business and go to the gym. And it was, when I became a mom, it was literally the hardest. It was the happiest time of my life, but it was the hardest. It was, I want to make sure I use the right verbiage. It was a wake up call to what motherhood really is, because you can respect motherhood and understand motherhood, but if you are not a mom, it is very hard to explain, you know, the role that we play every single day. And so when I became a mom, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get into? Because I was running a business and I was used to being free, and now all day 24/7 you are literally responsible for someone else, and that's a lot if you're not prepared for it.
And so did you, after you had Mikey, who for those of you who don't know, he is just the cutest little boy. He's 3 now, right, Danny?
Yes, he just turned 3.
Yes, 3. Did you instinctively know sort of how to take care of yourself, or at least the importance of that? Or was that something you have grown into as you and he have grown together?
I feel that Mikey Mikey has served such a big purpose in my life, because he's really shown me this. And really because of him, that's my message, because it's something I grew through. You know, when I first had him, I didn't give to myself at all, and I became exhausted, and I had all the excuses in the world. I couldn't snap back in shape right away. Like, I didn't meet my expectations for snapping back in shape the way I wanted to, because I was exhausted. I wasn't eating properly. I was putting good nutrition in my body, but I was skipping meals and not eating how I was used to, because I wasn't living into the fact that you can literally have it all, that you can make time to go to the gym, that you can run your business. And I just kind of surrendered to, I'm just a mom. I'm just going to be a mom. And being just a mom is okay. But if you have other goals in your life, whether it's fitness or business, you can still put those things first too, or you can make time for them. And so I learned that through having Mikey. Probably my first few months of really getting in a rut with, you know, I was just home all day as a mom, and it was awesome. But I was like, I still have purpose, and I still have meaning, and there's other things I want to do. That's when I really learned that, the importance of making time for myself.
Danny, I remember 3 months. For those of you who don't know, I have a little boy, Austin. He is 16 months old. So he's still a little guy, but he's a really big guy for being a little guy, trust me. And 3 months after he was born, I had an invitation to go away for it, like 5 days with my friend down to the beach. And I was like, heck yes, I am going. And while I was there, her husband said to me, do you miss Austin? And I didn't even miss a beat. And I said, no, I am absolutely loving my time. And it was such a revelation to him and also to some of the people in my life. And I said, you know, this just feels so important to me. And so I feel as though I've always known how to take care of myself because it was something that I was doing pretty religiously before Austin was born. And yet, at the same time, nothing could prepare me for how incredibly emotional and overwhelming the whole experience of bringing a child into the world is. And so still taking that time for myself, I believe, makes me a way better mother, because I don't feel the best when I'm just with him 24/7, right? I think too much of anything is just too suffocating. Not that I ever switch off being a mom, or any of us do, but I think this idea of pulling away as being a really beautiful act is, as you say, something that we miss as women, and we've been told we must feel guilty about, or, you know, have to be there for our kids. And so I just love that that's become so true for you. And right, without a doubt, I bet the way you run your business and the success you've had in your business has grown even more as a result.
It's true. I feel that once I let go of that buying into that story, that I grew as a person, my business grew. I just became happier too. And it's so true. Like how you said, they asked you if you missed him and you said no. It's true. Sometimes if you're away for if you get a day away from your kid, or we go to a lot of like events and stuff, it's like 3 days away. Like, yes, do I miss hugging Mikey or kissing him, and do I think of him all day long? But the truth is 3 days away is awesome, because you need that. You need that in anything. I think you need that in a relationship. Like, too much, if you're in a relationship with someone, too much of being with that person, you know, it's not healthy, right? And so also with your kids, you've got to carve out that time. Now, that time looks different for everyone else. And I think one of the things that women need to realize is that it's what makes you happy. And so there are moms out there that they want to be with their kids 24/7, and maybe just like 1 hour a week, or, you know, a day a week, if they just had some time, they would be completely happy. There's career women out there that they want to go after their careers, and they want to work till 5 every day, and that be okay. And I think we make everything wrong. It's like, if you dig deep inside of you, what makes you happy? If you could write down the perfect scenario for your life, as far as, you know, what would make you show up as the best mom and feel like the best mom, what would make you feel good about yourself and confident and attractive, and what would make you feel like you're going after your dreams and you're fulfilled, and you put down the perfect day each day and what that looks like, and start living into that, I think you're a lot happier.
Oh, I love that. Ladies, if you're listening, there is an amazing exercise Danny just shared with us, right? Taking the time to literally write down, like, what does that ideal day look like? And I think that is so well said. There are no rules. No. And as women, we've got to start coming together and honoring the choices of other women. And if we can maybe help a woman sink into her intention a little bit more, as opposed to just going through the motions, and really get busy creating the life she wants, I think that's a beautiful thing. But there's no one way to do it. And I'm so glad you shared that, because it's so important for all of us to hear that and remember that. Even right, for me, I consider myself pretty evolved, pretty intentional in my actions, and yet I can feel guilty just like the next person, because I'm human. It really doesn't matter how evolved we are. We all experience the full emotional range. So I just love that. I just want to give a welcome to Mark, to Christine joining, to Annette, Jamuna. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Jessica. So glad that you're all here this morning and joining in our conversation.
Yeah, and if you can relate to this, if you're a mom and you're listening, or even a parent, because I think this applies to dads. Like, there needs to be a dad support group. They have all these feelings and stuff, but they're never really empowered to share. So if you're getting value from this, just put a yes in the comments so we can know that we're on the right track and that you're loving it, or say hi so we can shout you out. But it goes hand in hand too. When you were speaking right now, you made me think of something. Yeah, as women, like you said, we need to empower each other and support each other, because sometimes I think we don't mean to do it, but we can, as humans, we can get so set in our ways that if someone's doing something a little different, we can kind of judge them. And I think that that's what makes the pressure like so intense for moms these days, because it's like, and if you agree, put a yes in the comments. It does it feel like you're constantly being judged? Because I feel that if I'm at a play date, or, and I noticed this when I started hanging out with a lot of moms, like when I started going to mom groups, it almost felt like you were entering a judgment session, because every single mom there has a different opinion, and they're going to let you know their opinion, and it almost turns into like a back and forth battle. And I don't like that. Like, I think, like, if you choose to breastfeed, breastfeed. If you don't breastfeed, awesome. Like, and we need to just empower each other to show up in the world how we need to show up for our kids. And so if you're listening to this and you catch yourself doing that to other women, maybe like take a note of it. And it's natural. It's natural. Whenever someone doesn't do something like you, it's easy to be like, why did they do it like that? Like, that's weird, or that's not, what's up with that? You know, it's easy to question it, but we just all have different ways of doing things. And if you can kind of let that go, I think it lets you show up better in the world for other women or mothers or parents as well. And so I really like to take that on, because I just hated that. You know, you're a new mom and everybody around you has an opinion or advice, and really, you know what to do. You know what to do inside. And I think that goes hand in hand with anything, with business, with anything. If you really look inside your gut and ask yourself a question, like maybe you're dealing with something or have something, you ask yourself, you usually always know the answer, right? You know what's right for you. You know the decisions you need to make. And usually we go to people for advice only so they can validate the answers we already know. We just want to hear that someone agrees with us. But if you can learn just to trust yourself, and do what's best for you, man, life just gets easier. Like, life really gets easier when you're trying to play the game of making everybody else happy. Life is not fun, right? It is miserable, because you're not living for yourself, you're living for everyone around you. And I think that's something that we do a lot as women.
And I also think
Hi,
that
Kendra.
when we when we look outside of ourselves for validation, right? Which, I mean, we all do it, right? That when we don't get the answer we desire or that we want, then we end up second guessing ourselves even more, and we get further away from that gut decision. So being aligned with what we believe to be true, I think, is just so important, because someone's always going to have a different opinion or a different idea, and we may not get what we want from outside of ourselves. And then just that simple, innocent act of just trying to get some reassurance can end up with us unconsciously handing over our power, and then as a mom we feel totally disempowered, and it sort of becomes a little bit of a vicious cycle. So I think really trusting that wisdom that's inside of us, that maternal wisdom, which I think can help us grow a baby and grow a business in equal measure, is it's just so beautiful. And that's work, right? We have to really understand how our gut operates and the messages that it gives us. But I also don't think it has to be hard. It can be really simple, because that wisdom is there. We already know what the answer is, or what it is we really want to do. And just being able to give ourselves permission. I think permission is such a big word, just to be able to say, yes, this is what feels good to me. This is what feels good for our family. And how can I give myself permission to do that? I think the world would be a much softer place, and as mothers we'd feel so much safer and less judged. I wonder if any dads, because you already gave some love to the dads, Danny, and we had Andy said, I was just thinking the same, dads need love too. Reggie agreed. I'm wondering if dads feel the same judgment that mums feel when they're out in the world? Dads, comment for us, because I'd love to hear from you. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, let's hear from dads. And if I can say something on that, I think dads definitely feel the pressure we feel. Like I look at Mike and he works so hard because he's so passionate about what he does, and so and he spends a lot of time with us. But I've heard like people, they'll be like, "Oh, you work so hard, you need to put your family first." He works hard for his family, and it's like constant criticism or constant, you know, it's like they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. And we work for ourselves, and so we have the freedom. But there's dads out there that have big careers that maybe maybe when they come home they see their kids in bed and they leave before their kids wake up, but they're also giving their kids a great life. And what are they supposed to do? Like, I mean, you know, there's what else are they? And we kind of see that too to men. There's a lot of pressure on how they need to show up to provide, and also how they need to show up and be in their kids' lives. And I think, and then it's worse for them because women, we're emotional, so we talk about these things. We can do live videos, we can have support groups. Men aren't, they can't talk about it. That's the culture, right? And so I'm like, I love speaking to moms, but I'm really just passionate about parenthood because, you know, I've really seen what everyone goes through in it and the growth that's a part of it if you're aware. And so, yeah, I think dads need it too. But no dads are commenting because, like I said, it's a cultural thing. You can't, they feel like they can't say it or acknowledge it sometimes, you know? But,
it's interesting to think about. Come on, dads.
Yeah,
come on, dads, in the comments.
Let us know if
So Danny, tell me, you just said, you know, like there's so many amazing things about parenthood in general. What's been your favorite part so far of parenting that little lovely boy of yours?
Oh, Audra said something really good. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. I was reading the comment. Audra said dads aren't judged as much. They're happy if a dad just has the kids out with them. So who cares how they are dressed, hair brushed? It's true. Dads kind of get off the hook with the presentation of the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like expected of a dad, right? Like he doesn't have it all together with the presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
So true. What was your question?
My question was, you had said that you just stand for parenthood and love it so much. So I was just curious, what's been your favorite thing about parenting that little boy of yours?
My favorite thing is setting the example. And so I love it because, like, if you ever look at reality TV, I compare it to that because, you know, if you had a camera following you around 24/7, you would just be on your A game, right? Like a reality TV star, they're not really like that, like behind closed doors. There's a camera in their face, so they're making sure they're on point. And parenthood is the same way because you're setting an example and someone's always watching you. And so that's been my biggest thing, is making sure that I practice what I preach, or that I show up in life the way I want my son to show up, or, you know, that I watch my attitude if I'm having a bad day, or how I speak about things. And that's been the greatest thing because it's literally like someone's watching you 24/7. And so before, when you're alone, how you show up behind closed doors doesn't really matter. Maybe your integrity, but other than that, no one really knows. But when you're a parent, it does matter because it affects how someone else is going to make decisions for the rest of their life. And so your example matters.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Girl, well said. I never heard it put like that before. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. What when it comes to, say, your attitude or just your emotions in general, what do you think has been the biggest area of growth for you then, as you've kind of watched yourself in being that example?
I'm just a passionate person. And so passion, there's good and bad to passion, because if something's not going the way I want it to, or if, you know, I'm driven and I can get frustrated. And so it's just my attitude. It's literally how I speak about things, or yeah, like how my productivity, how I carry myself, making sure I have a positive attitude. I watch my language more, which is good because, you know, the words you say and what you put out there matters. And so, And it's crazy because I thought I had a positive attitude before being a mom, but then once Mikey started like talking and stuff, and I would say little things, I'm like, I can't say that in front of him, but I shouldn't say that, period. Like a lot of times it's, you can't say that in front of kids, but I kind of believe if you can't speak a certain way in front of kids, why don't you just not speak that way, period? You know what I mean? Because it's still speaking something out into the universe. And so it's just really been, he really has helped me grow into really watching my attitude and what I put out there, and just being on my A game in life. Like I always evaluate when I'm doing something, like how would I want Mikey to show up in this situation? And sometimes it's funny because I'd want him to show up better than I'm showing up. And so I push forward. And I love that kids can do that for parents. I think sometimes there's a misconception that we teach kids. I think kids teach us. Like I think we're there to guide them, but I think that I think they're teaching us a lot more than we're teaching them. They're pretty much born with the answers.
Yeah, I completely agree. I could not agree. Even from just growing them inside our tummies, that they're teaching us all the time, right? Like patience, the things we can't control, what resistance feels like because they don't want to do it our way.
Oh, yes.
Like, just so many things. I want to talk about energy, but I want to share with you a story I heard recently. Have you read the book Love Warrior by Glennon Doyle Melton?
I love it. I love her.
Yeah, me too. And so I was listening to her soul session with Oprah recently that she did from the stage. And so, guys, if you haven't read it, it's all about this idea that our pain is where we can find our purpose. So as society, we're trained to run away from our pain because shiny emotions are the ones that are praised the most. But if we could just learn to run to our pain, we could actually grow and evolve in the way that we're supposed to grow and evolve. And so she said that she was doing this live speech and a lady raises her hand and she said, Glennon, she said, my child has experienced all of this pain and I just feel so guilty because I couldn't shield him from the pain. And I feel like I've let him down, like I haven't done my job. And Glennon says, well, let me ask you a question. When your son grows up, who do you want him to be? And she said, I want him to be wise. I want him to be kind and something else that I forget. And she said, well, what do you think makes him wise and kind? It's the struggle. It's the pain. And so as parents, we have received misinformation that it's our job to protect our children from pain. And instead, I mean, we obviously want to keep them safe, right? Generally speaking. But this idea that if pain or something or a struggle arises in their life, that we can stand there and say, I see that pain. I know that it's hard. I know that it's challenging. And I also want you to know that I see your courage and it's so much bigger. And I was just listening to this and I was like, yes, this is so great. So we can change our relationship to pain, not only as a human, but also as a mother, and how it can be a really beautiful thing for our child. And it just made me completely rewire my thinking. Now, what that looks like in real life, I don't know yet, because I imagine that is just gut wrenching when you watch your child struggle with anything. But it reminded me of not only what you were just sharing, but the very beginning of our conversation, right? Like we've got this misinformation as mothers.
Yeah.
It's just so powerful.
Phone call. I had to, no, I agree. And I think that is so beautiful and it lets us off the hook because most of our guilt comes from not wanting them to have pain, right? Like if I go after my dreams or if I do this or if I sacrifice this a little bit, then they're going to feel neglected or they're going to feel hurt. And then I don't want them to grow up like this. We live in the future so much. We're always evaluating our next step for what it's going to do to them when they're like 20 and 30. And you know what's funny too? I think we try to save them from the pain we might have had as kids. Like, we can remember certain things that happened to us that didn't feel good, or that, you know, kind of messed us up or whatever, you know, and then we protect them for that. But what's funny is, if you really evaluate those things that messed you up or, you know, really hurt you in life, they're the very thing that made you who you are. They're the very thing that made you be that great parent, be that awesome person, be who you are. And so don't protect, like you said, don't try to, you should want them to have those life experiences too, and be there for them and show them coping skills and courage through it, and let them know they're enough to handle it instead of keep them from it. Because it's all the things that it's all the horrible things that happen to us in life. It's all the ups and downs that literally make us who we are and give us our character. And so I agree, but it is hard as a parent, because you just don't want them to go through that. You just want to shield them from the world.
Yeah. And I think as mothers too, right? Like, this idea that, or even just as women, right? Especially as business owners, like, if I get a phone call from a friend and she's just like, oh my God, like, she's freaking out, or she's having a moment because she's comparing herself, or the launch didn't go as well as she wanted, or she didn't get that new person in. It's so easy to just dive in and try and fix the problem or fix the pain, and like make your friend or even just business colleague like feel better, instead of just sitting back, which I think actually is even more of a superpower, to just sit back and say, I see you, and I'm sorry that happened, right? And like, trust that in that space of pain or in that messiness, which I think can be really beautiful, they're going to figure it out. And we don't necessarily need to fix it all the time, but it is such an interesting dynamic when it comes to your own child.
It is. It's so funny you said that, because I think it's called The Awakened Parent. Have you heard of it?
I haven't read it.
Really, really good. And it talks about a lot of the things that we're trying to protect our kids from is really, we're trying to basically, it causes pain points in us. And so a lot of times when like you see your kid doing something, or your kid irritates you, or they're going through something, and you feel like that pain or that thing you get when you want to protect them, it's usually, if you dig deep, it's usually something you can like have a breakthrough or realize that it's something that you need to deal with, or it's something going on. And so and it's true. So when I read that book, I pay attention to that now. Like, there's little things Mikey does that just irritates me, and it's really me. Like, I'm like, what can I learn through this? Or why is this causing this emotion? Because it's really has nothing to do with him. It's something within me. And so I like to go through my parenting like that. And I literally figure out things about myself every day, just asking the questions instead of reacting. Like, what about this situation is causing me to be so irritated or frustrated? Or even on the playground, this little kid pushed him, and I was so upset. This kid was older, and he pushed him so bad, and I just got so frazzled, and I was almost like emotional. And I don't know, like, it was really, everything was fine. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but it hurt me more than it hurt him. And it was just like wanting to protect him from being bullied, or thinking like, I was like thinking 10 years in the future, like, oh my gosh, is he going to be bullied? And it was just that one moment. It had nothing to do with the future. I think as parents, we do that a lot. And so I just like to always look within, like, what's causing these emotions right now. But the
That's great.
Is all about that. So it's a really good book to read.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to totally check that out. I see we got a good old comment here, Danny, from a dad, Andy. Andy says, I've always been a very present dad with my kids. When I decided to embark on my MLM business, I sat down with my family and asked their permission to sacrifice time away from them. Oh, that's so good. I sacrificed a lot of time over the last 3 years, and I've recently rededicated more time to my younger son because I thought it was needed. I've been trying to balance personal guilt with my why and my vision. Having open conversations with my family has made the journey way easier. I think there might be more, but I can't see more of your comment, Andy. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that you were intentional and sat down and really realized this is what the picture's going to look like, right? Like, is it okay that I'm away? Because I think so many times we can jump into something thinking it's going to be one way, and then we're surprised by the outcome, and it causes all kinds of resentment in the family. That's great.
And I think I know Andy personally, and he's having a lot of success. But I think there's two sides to it. So you can sit down your family and go after something and let them know, like, hey, I'm going to make some sacrifices, but you got to do what you say. There's a lot of people out there that say that and they make the sacrifices, but then they don't put in the work. And like you're saying, that's what causes people to get resentful or not trust. And so I always say, like, make short-term sacrifices, like do a 90-day plan or 90 days and say, like, look, the next 90 days, you're not going to see me very much. I'm going to be working, but at the end of the 90 days, we're going to go to the theme park, or we're going to do this, and we're going to have 3 days of undevoted attention, and then have another 90 days. But like, I think there has to be pit stops in the middle, right? Pit stops, something that your kids can celebrate with you, or something that they can be a part of it. And so I agree. Sometimes you got to do that to go after your goals. But I think, like, make sure you're putting in little pit stops, or make sure there's short-term goals celebrated along the way so they can see your progress and that they get to be a part of that, which Andy does very well. But I'm just speaking to parents in general. I think it's really important. Like I had like a course I launched last month. And so I really wasn't with Mikey for like 2 weeks. Like I had a babysitter come over, and I was like in my office just focused. And but I told him, and he's only 3, but he understood. I told him, the day after this, we're going to Disney World, and then it's mommy time. I was like, I'm not even going to be on my phone. It's just mommy time. And it was funny because he held me to it. Like I would be posting a picture on Facebook at the theme park, and he'd be like, Mommy, no phone. And so I had to keep my word to him, but they understand. And I think you just got to enroll them in it.
Yeah, great. Well said. It's so great. I can't kind of wait until Austin gets a little bit older and sort of start to see that dynamic, right? Because right now he's too young to be able to give me feedback. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited for the journey for sure. So Danny, tell us a little bit about, like, from a health and fitness perspective, like, how do you have the energy to, I don't want to say do it all, right? That sounds like a little bit of a catchphrase, because I don't believe that we're ever achieving balance across the board. We're just trying to achieve some kind of synergy in our life. But what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis that really help you boost your energy levels?
I 100% believe you should start your day with some physical fitness activity. And so like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I wake up and I work out at 5:45 a.m. Those are my best days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my favorite days because I can feel the endorphins early in the morning, and I just have the most productive days. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I work out in the afternoon, but I make sure I get physical activity in every single day. Also, what you put in your body really does matter. If you are trying to, I don't care if you're just a stay-at-home mom, if you're a working mom, if you're just parents, we have a lot going on. We need energy. And I think sometimes we're not fueling our bodies with the right stuff. We don't plan our nutrition out. We're not paying attention to what we're eating. We're doing fast food, or a lot of parents are snackers, right? They don't even make time to really have a meal. They're just snacking on their kids' snacks all day. And then it's like you crash on the couch at like 3 o'clock and you wonder what's wrong with you. And it's really just paying attention to what you're putting in your body. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you getting physical activity? Are you putting those things? It's really important, because I meet a lot of parents, especially being in health and wellness, that literally will say their number one thing is they do not have the energy to play with their kids. You know, by the time they get home from work, they can't pick up that dinosaur and play, or they can't go outside and kick the ball. They're exhausted. And when you start taking care of your well-being, that goes away. Big time, it goes away. You get your life back. And life is so much more than, you know, coming home every day at 6 o'clock, grabbing whatever you can that's convenient, and sitting on the couch and watching your favorite TV show. There's so much more to life. But if you're not taking care of yourself, you'll never experience that.
I know something that you helped me with. Like, I was really getting that 3 o'clock feeling, and in all honesty, it could have even come earlier. Like, I could wake up kind of feeling pretty groggy, and yet I've got all of these things I want to do and show up for, and just really feeling like I was dragging my feet. And I've always been pretty good at making 3, you know, good meals a day, and I feel like I eat pretty clean and pretty healthy. And you were saying to me, Sarah, like, you need to have a snack in between your meals to kind of keep those energy levels up. And then also just eating a lot more protein, which was something I was really missing. Like, I thought, you know, if I have just a salad, but it has no protein in at lunch, and I have, like, you know, an egg at breakfast, and then maybe I have dinner that has, you know, it's fish or meat of some kind, I was good. But like, really having protein consistently almost in every meal, that has made such a big difference. Even just those tweaks, let alone actually, you know, adding in nutrition in other ways.
Yeah. No, it's true. Eating every 2 hours makes a huge difference. And you know what, too? Like, I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but if you're not eating every 2 hours, there's going to come a point during the day where you stuff your face, whether it's with carbs or something. You're going to binge eat, because your body goes into starvation mode, and you literally you get into this point where you'll just eat whatever you can find. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Put a 1 if you've ever experienced that. And when you eat every 2 hours, you don't get those cravings. You don't hit that point in the day where you're just willing to eat anything, because you're nourishing your body throughout the day. And then with protein, you know, you're staying full, you're burning fat, and your body is full. Like, there's no reason to be hungry, because you're putting protein in your body that keeps you full longer. And so it's little things. Like, a lot of times people think there's something wrong with them because they're having like cravings, or they binge eat, or you know, they eat horrible. But it's really just that, those simple little tweaks, their body goes into starvation mode, and they don't care if they're eating pizza, or they don't care if they're eating a bag of chips, because they just need to eat something. And so paying attention to that, and also like supplements, because you don't even, what they say, our food industry, I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to get all what they say is in the food is not in the food. You know, you're really not getting nutrients from your food anymore, and the very things our body needs is not there anymore. And so having supplements is so important. Making sure you're putting proper nutrition in your body every day is so important. And a lot of people think it doesn't matter. And for me, this isn't about being skinny or being ripped or being a fitness model. It's literally about what your body needs. And I think sometimes people are like, I hear different things all the time, but people will say, you know, well, I love my lifestyle, or I like what I eat, and I'm not even overweight. It doesn't matter. It's literally, your body just needs these things to have proper energy to feel good. Like, you're a thin woman, but even you were struggling with energy just because of those little things. And so I think it's important. I think our world lives on, if you're skinny or you're thin, then you don't need to watch your nutrition. Or, you know, if you're overweight, then you do. And that's not really how it works. Everybody needs to.
Yeah, because because the model is like, oh, just being thin, right? But thing doesn't mean we're healthy or energized or any of those things, right? Just means we look a certain way, and that's what's become glorified. So, one of the things I found, ladies, put a 1 in the comments if you feel this way too. I feel like when I started really like taking those snacks and trying to eat pretty much every couple of hours, I felt like I was eating all the time. Like, whoa, this is like way too much food. Do I really need all of this? Am I eating too much? Like, it just felt like, yeah, I just felt like I was constantly eating. And that was a real adjustment to me, because I really wasn't sure if it was right, or maybe like my mind was telling me, I don't think you really need a snack. Like, you're just eating to eat. But now that I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with that, I mean, I definitely obviously noticed the difference in the way I feel, but have you heard other women share that, or is that kind of normal?
Yeah, because we're taught that like if you want to be thin or, get in shape, that you eat less. And so when you start eating every 2 hours more, I'm eating a lot, when really you need to eat a lot. You just need to eat a lot of the right things. And so, yeah, I hear that all the time. It just feels like you're eating a lot of food, or you feel full throughout the day. And that's the thing too. You want to feel full. Like, you don't want to feel stuffed. You want to feel satisfied all day long, right? And so, but yeah, I hear that a lot, definitely. Even me, when I started, I'm like, this is too much food. I'm going to explode. But no.
And I have a couple questions for you, like really specifics. Like, what are maybe a couple of your go-to snacks that you love?
Well, I'm a chocolate lover, and so I personally carry a protein bar that's like tastes like a Snickers bar, and so that's like one of my favorite snacks every single day, because I get that chocolate craving. And then I love nuts, like raw cashews, almonds, but of course you got to watch those, because you could eat like the whole box. And so Whole Foods has individually packaged cashews or almonds. So I love that, because you just grab and go, and literally whatever's in that little bag is what your snack is, and so you don't overeat them. But those are my favorite snacks.
Sweet. And what this is kind of something I feel like I'm struggling with right now. So ladies, I'm hoping this is helpful to you as well. Like, feeling energetic, but also feeling as though if I hit the gym, I'm going to be more tired afterwards, and then I'm not going to have as much energy as I really think I'm going to have if I don't go for the rest of the day, because I'm not like coursing with energy, like boom, ready to hit it out the park. And so I feel like I'm in this in-between space of, God, I really want to go. I'm not really going, and I'm scared that I'm going to feel tired. What are your insights around that?
So this is like confession, because I hate going to the gym. Like, every day before I work out, I am literally,
really?
I love how I feel afterwards. The whole process of getting there and like getting dressed and going, I just dread it. And I've always been like that. I used to play sports growing up. I played basketball. I loved basketball. I hated when my dad was driving me to basketball practice. I was like, oh, because like, what's coming. Like, you're about to kick your butt. Like, your butt's gonna so but so I think it's funny, because literally after every workout, I have more energy than I ever do when I don't work out. So I think, wow, we can tell ourselves that. Now, are you tired, like physically? Yeah, your body's sore and you're tired, but you get like endorphins and this boost. And for me, in my personal experience, I feel like I can take over the world. Like, my confidence goes through the roof after a workout. Like, I just feel so wonderful. And so that's why I suggest working out in the morning, if that's what working out does for you, because you have a better day. But yeah, I think you have to, I think like the first 2 weeks of getting into a workout routine is the hardest part. But then once you're in that routine, if you can just stick to it, you're gonna start having more energy. You're gonna feel better. It's just transitioning. It's hard to, that's with anything in life. It's hard to get into a new routine of doing something that pushes you out of your comfort zone.
You know what? That's actually really helpful. That idea of 2 weeks, right? Because I have a tendency to be all in, and I consider myself pretty fit because, you know, like I'm around the house, I'm always walking, and we live in a place that's super hilly. So with the stroller and the dog, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting a really good workout. I'm in the garden, you know, like I'm doing things. So I sort of have this mentality of like, yeah, go big or go home. And so I feel like I should go do a workout, crush it, feel so energized. And then when I don't, I'm like, oh, like maybe I'm not as fit as I think, or like I really want to have energy for the rest of the day. So I think that's just a helpful reminder, right? Like everything is progress. It's a transition. So that's kind of helpful to have the 2 week, the 2 week.
Or like accountability, like get a gym partner or someone to go with where you push each other for like 2 weeks. You know, accountability is huge with fitness. I think it's hard to do it alone for a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people, they're going to need accountability for sure.
Great advice, Danny. Okay, beautiful. I feel like there could easily be a part 2 to this, but I feel like this has been a really meaty soul session today. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Is there anything you'd like to share as a parting comment, or for those of you watching who don't know Danny, any way that you'd love them to connect with you? Please feel free to share anything that you'd like, Danny.
Yeah, we have a fitness community on Facebook where we give tons of tips every single day. And if you'd like access to that, you can just send me a message or friend request me and I can add you in.
Super. And I'm a part of that, guys. And I'll tell you, like, it's been really motivating. Like, you know, all the ladies who are, you know, like they're doing this workout or they have this goal. And I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Or that's such a great reminder. So it's been a really beautiful place for me to get sort of some support and some motivation. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for another regular daily soul session. And Danny, thank you again. So much love to you. And I know that we'll be in touch.
Yes, we'll have to plan a live soon on my page. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
day. Bye.
Bye.